The global economy is suffering, and you can look historically that when this happens, there will be civil unrest, there will be riots and blood in the streets. This is an absolute fact. I will show you today how the statistics are pointing in this direction. Let's take a look at it right now. These are stats from the US, but of course this is happening around the world. Let's take a look at the very bottom right corner. It says 14%. That's the increase based on various factors: food, shelter, utilities, so on and so forth, showing that over the last few years, all of these things are increasing. Now, what does that mean? It basically means people have less disposable income. Now, of course, it goes beyond that, because when you have less and less and less disposable income, perhaps you get to the point where you're basically drowning. And right now, this is becoming a huge issue because, for example, in Germany and in Canada, the so-called tax freedom day, that's basically when you are able to then start making money in that year, is going further and further towards the end of the year. In Canada, in Germany, it's about 50% right now. So this number is getting worse and worse. Our expenses are increasing, but of course, as it says at the top here, our wages are not going up at the same rate. So of course, we are drowning in this sea of debt, and it will become a huge problem, and this is not going anywhere. This is the disposable income with and without government transfers. So it's showing you that basically the government is the only thing supporting the economy. And look at what it says. Eric Sprott saying, the U.S. economy has been on life support, and no amount of money printing can cleanse the rot of the U.S. economy. And that is something that I've said so many times, and I will show you a quote from that in my book. Look what it says here, basically, that things are not anywhere close to being better. That is something that I've said countless times, because it's just government money printing, and that cannot actually generate any value in the economy. It doesn't. That's not how this works. You need a real structure behind it. So this is what the OECD was saying, that in the first 3 years of the crisis, inequality increased more than 12 years before. And that is something that is so true, that we are having this growing inequality, the elite class forming, and you have nothing but a vanishing middle class. And the middle class is what really generates the economy, what gets the taxes into the system. The elite don't pay taxes. Warren Buffett doesn't pay taxes, but the middle class does. And when you don't have that, you don't have a real economy. Marc Faber, of course, is signaling the warning bell, saying that there is a real big problem right now with the markets, how things are overvalued, particularly in the tech stocks. But of course, the news media is basically saying, pour your money into tech, pour your money in right now. It is red hot. Get on that. There's never been a boom in tech stocks, that's for sure. Pour your money in. And of course, I covered this just recently. I'll just mention it again, that the BRICS are really trying to get away from the whole dollar thing. They realize that this system is going to collapse. By creating their own multilateral financial institutions, the BRICS emerging market powers are shaking up the global economic governance, but remain far from dismantling the post-war system. So, of course, this is something that I mentioned. It's not going to happen overnight. This agreement that they've made with the BRICS is not something that just as soon as they sign on the dot, the dollar collapses. That's not how it works. They're very small and compared to the US dollar, but it signals something that they want to go away from the US dollar, and this will undoubtedly bring the destruction of it. It will just take time. So of course, you have this warning, you have this signal right now. Okay, the BRICS are setting up. All of these countries around the world, approximately 30 countries, are now setting up to do bilateral trade in their own currencies. That's your warning. You have the US dollar, you have something that is going to be worthless. So why not get out now while you still have the chance? And going back to what I said before about that rot, This is what I wrote about in my book. The system expanded to an incredible level, which has now plagued the worldwide markets with a disease that can only be cured by a, quote, economic detox. That's what I coined in my book here, and that is exactly what they need, because it is terrible. There is nothing real. I talk about the CDOs, and of course that's the collateralized debt obligations, and how fictitious this is. And I'll just scroll up very quickly to show you the diagram if you haven't seen it. Basically, car loans, mortgages, credit card debt, they package it up, put a nice little bow on it, and sell it as a AAA investment. And this is their idea of something real, of something of value. And of course, this doesn't generate anything in the economy. This does nothing. It's totally a fraud, and that's what they're trying to sell us. But of course, it doesn't work. It'll come crumbling down just like everything else like this. Now, I hope you like this video, and if you do, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want more of this type of video, of course, let me know. If you have any suggestions, if you have anything, just always email me, especially on the insiders. I reply to everyone on the insiders first. They're my first priority. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for all of those who have purchased my book. I really, really appreciate that. And of course, share the message of truth. That is the most important thing above all else. If you want to become an insider where you get the best information, that is totally free at themoneygps.com. You scroll down to the bottom, you fill in your email address, and you get occasional emails from me.